Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. So much to get into today with the Phillies, spring training. Our friend Jeff Kerr stops by the program. Now, you remember Jeff, CBS sports writer, still a CBS sports writer, mostly covering the NFL, mostly covering your Philadelphia Eagles. Jeff is a local product who's done good for himself. Now he's also going to be covering, in addition to his responsibilities with the Philadelphia Eagles, covering the Philadelphia Eagles, he's also going to be covering your Philadelphia Phillies. He's a lifelong Phillies fan, so that's a dream come true for him. So they keep on, just put things on his plate. Guy's a hell of a writer. Wrote a great story. If you want to examine 5 big questions going into this Phillies season, going into spring training, Jeff wrote about that on CBS Phillies, so you guys can check that out. And, of course, if you're not following Jeff already, make sure you're doing so on all social media platforms. There's a great story written by Jeff, so make sure you check that out. Also, a great story written by the Inquirer's Alex Coffey, who's been on the show as well, about Charlie Manuel's influence. We'll be getting into that. When you talk about Charlie Manuel going through what he's going through right now, recovering from a stroke that he suffered back in September of 2023, his influence on this Phillies clubhouse is amazing. And reading this story, like everything that you thought about Charlie Manuel and his post-managerial career with the Philadelphia Phillies, the influence you think he would have in the clubhouse, this story illustrates it beautifully. The way Alex Coffey wrote this story about Charlie Manuel and how much the guys were looking forward to him being at spring training. They weren't sure whether or not he was going to be there. Once they heard he was there, once they saw him show up, how excited they were, how happy they were, especially JT Realmuto. And she tells a story. Alex Coffey tells this story about JT Realmuto seeing Charlie at fantasy camp, and Charlie was kind of down, and then seeing him now at spring training, how happy he was to see him. So it's a beautiful story. We'll get into that. Unfortunately, your Philadelphia Flyers lost last night. Austin Matthews is really good at hockey. If you're not a big hockey fan, but you at least know what a hat trick is, okay? Austin Matthews had one of those in the second period, but not just the second period. He had it in like 7 minutes and 50 seconds. Like, he had a natural hat trick in the second period with under 8 minutes. It was insane. It was absolutely insane. And the Flyers, unfortunately, took the loss in overtime. So that snaps their 4-game win streak, but they still got the point streak going as they do in hockey. So we got a lot to get into. I want to start off with 2 very happy stories. One is the Charlie Manuel story, and we'll get to that in depth. But I mentioned yesterday the shooting in Kansas City, and I just heard this story, and there's been a lot of great stuff that has come out from how people reacted to that, trying to help other people. Andy Reid comforting a young fan after everything happened. That's amazing. That's a beautiful thing. And then also on top of that, Tay Smith, offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs, he had a bunch of his teammates, a bunch of the Kansas City Chiefs staff and everybody. They were kind of sheltering in place when everything was going down to stay safe. And he had a WWE-style championship belt over his shoulder. And they finally get out of this room when the coast is clear, more or less, when it's safe to go out. And he and his teammates leave. And he sees a young fan who is having trouble, as one would, coping with the idea that they were just in a crowd where there was a shooting. So the little kid is obviously shaken up. And Smith goes over to the kid and he says, "You know what, kid? You're the champion now." And he takes the championship. Just imagine anybody on the Philadelphia Eagles doing this in our community. God forbid something like this would happen, but imagine something like this, a tragedy happens, and someone from the Eagles, in this case with the Chiefs and Smith, takes the championship belt off his shoulder, hands it to the kid, says, "You're the champion now." He was like, "What can I do in this instance?" He was on, I think it was Good Morning America yesterday morning, and he told that story. Beautiful story. Absolutely beautiful story. Love to hear stuff like that. The other thing is this, and I meant to show this yesterday because the Phillies actually put this out yesterday, or Charlie Manuel put it out, I should say. Charlie begins, the game begins in the spring when everything else begins again. And Charlie Manuel walking into the Phillies clubhouse with his bag, and then these pictures get posted by the Phillies as well. Him talking to Scott Palmer. This is, if I'm going to talk about ultimate man crushes, it's these 2 gentlemen right here. I'm a big Scott Palmer guy. Love Scott Palmer. And then if you want to read the story by Alex Coffey later today, this is the story to read. She put it out there on Twitter, and you could see the quote right there in the picture from JT Realmuto saying, "Seeing Charlie Manuel in the cage this morning brightened my day. It's his favorite place in the world to be. He and Larry Boa are here for a reason. They're still knowledgeable, and they can still help us. It means the world to have him around." The story that opens up, that's told within the story that opens up Alex Coffey's piece, is about JT Realmuto seeing Charlie Manuel at fantasy camp and how Charlie was still very much, and I've talked to people close to Charlie. Charlie's been on the show 2 years ago. He was on our show. And one of the things Charlie is an instant. He's an instant smile when he walks in the door. He's an instant smile when you see him on your computer screen and you're going to be talking to him and interview him. That's just how he is. He is that guy. He has been extremely kind to me. And his presence is an instant guaranteed smile. It's like, oh, Charlie's here. Like that kind of thing. Like, hey, Charlie Manuel's here. Smiles galore. Well, imagine being a player and you get to talk hitting with Charlie Manuel. Imagine being that player. And JT Realmuto in this instance is that player. And guys getting to go up to him and talk to him. Guys getting to go up to him, talk hitting with him, talk about the craft and the science of hitting. That is what ultimately is going to make a man feel normal again. And Charlie, unfortunately, hasn't felt very normal trying to get his speech back. And when JT Realmuto saw him at fantasy camp, he realized that Charlie wasn't very confident in speaking, wasn't really sure of his words yet, wasn't really sure of how he sounded yet. And then to see him come out months later for spring training to open things up when pitchers and catchers reported was the biggest smile this clubhouse could have had. And when you talk about guys like that that are knowledgeable, guys that can help you get through slumps, i.e. Trey Turner trying to fight his way out of a slump last year, Nick Castellanos in the postseason, Kyle Schwarber in the postseason, guys that are really trying to find their way. You need guys like that around you that can help you get out of that mental complex that you're having about hitting. And Charlie Manuel is a guy that can absolutely not only help you get out of it, but help you get started on a season. And that's what Charlie's bringing to the table for the Phils in spring training. I wasn't sure whether or not he was going to be there. It certainly crossed my mind. When I saw that picture of him walking into the building with his bag, I thought, oh, this is fantastic. Again, speaking to people, it was just about getting his speech back. The motor skills are good. They had footage of him walking around yesterday. All the major outlets had him walking around out there yesterday, talking to players in the cage, going up there to watch a bullpen session, have his conversation with Scott Palmer, all that. It's great. It's a great feeling. So the good vibes are there already at spring training, which you absolutely love. Now, unbeknownst to me, I only heard this because of Howard Eskin's Twitter account here. Apparently there was a conversation that he was having with a couple of my old friends there, Joe Giglio, Hugh Douglas, right? And they were having a conversation about whether or not this Phillies team this year is better than the Phillies team last year. My gut feeling, one of the reasons I'm optimistic about this team this year and feeling like they're going to be making another playoff push is because you don't have, and this might sound way too simple, but you have Trey Turner signed and ready to go. You don't have a World Baseball Classic that's going to be taking reps away from these guys and these guys getting together. You're not going to have Ranger Suarez injured. There's a number of things that I'm looking at going into the season that just makes me feel better. And then ultimately, when you look at the grand scheme of things, you talk about a team being hungry, as we played for you yesterday. Rob Thompson talking about how this team has had the taste. They've had a bite. Now they want to eat the whole thing. That's kind of how I feel about watching this Phillies team as well. So going to the spring training, I'm extremely optimistic about what this team can do this year. I at least think they're going to have another deep playoff push in them. That's how I feel about this Phillies team going into it. But apparently this conversation broke out between Howard and Joe about why we should believe that this team is better. So Rob Thompson answered the question yesterday, and here's what he told Howard Eskin down in Clearwater, Florida.
Well, we're going to have JT, Trey, and Schwarber get through a regular spring training. So I'm expecting them to all get off to a better start. I think the kids will get a little bit better. We'll have Harper, hopefully, for a full year. We'll have Ranger Suarez, hopefully at the start of the year. We'll have Taijuan Walker not going to WBC, so he'll get his regular work in spring training. So just there, I think we're going to be better.
And you think Trey Turner, obviously, will have a full year and a better year from what he had last year?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, he comes here, he's here for about 5 days, and then he's got to go, and so he doesn't really get to know anybody, and so he'll be a little more comfortable. He understands who everybody is and what we're all about. Same thing with Greg Soto. You know, he had the visa issue at the start of the spring last year, so he was kind of slow getting in. Now he's comfortable with everybody. He knows who everybody is. So I think we're in a really good spot.
Yeah, I love everything I heard right there, especially when you talk about guys being in the clubhouse for an extended period of time, not leaving for the World Baseball Classic, and guys being healthy. I don't. One thing I'm really trying to not let happen is not let the way last year ended affect how I feel about this year's team. And Bill Colarulo asked me a question when I was on with him yesterday, and it broke my brain for a second because there are so many. Like the question was, what is the biggest concern about this Phillies team going forward? And I hate health is never something like it's the most obvious thing. Like you got to stay healthy. Of course, you got to stay healthy. But the bigger thing here when it comes to this Phillies team is I feel like there are a lot of tiny questions. How's the bullpen going to stack up? Who's going to be your third outfielder? How are you going to do with Kyle Schwarber mostly as your designated hitter? It should be better. Is Trey Turner going to pick up from where he left off a year ago? Like there are little things like that. But biggest question, I really thought about this, and it's why you didn't win last year. You stopped hitting. Rob Thompson, when he was addressing the media yesterday during his 13-minute news conference, was talking about how the Astros made adjustments. You got to be able to adjust to the adjustments when it comes to how you were being pitched, and the Phillies couldn't do that. So for me, the biggest question mark is will they hit in the playoffs? For some other people, it might be whether or not this Phillies team is going to make the playoffs. Those people, I believe, are doom and gloom people. I feel like this Phillies team is absolutely a playoff team. So my biggest question, and this isn't I guess it's in the same, it's on the same road, but it's not the same lane as how I feel about the how I feel about the 76ers. And, can they get a second round of the playoffs? Can they get out of the second round of the playoffs? Are they going to play well in the playoffs? It's on the same road, maybe the same book. Maybe it's the same book, not the same chapter. But it's kind of how I feel about the Phillies. They're going to make the playoffs. Now it's a question of whether or not they're going to hit in the playoffs. And yes, of course, it's a question of whether or not Rob Thompson is going to handle this bullpen. The fact that Craig Kimbrell's not here makes me feel warm and fuzzy as well. However, with the guys that you still have here is Rob Thompson still going to be trusting those guys that might be showing how much they're struggling. Is a guy like Orion Kerkering going to take over a more dominant role in the Phillies bullpen? These are questions I have, but if I'm asked the question, what is the biggest concern I have surrounding the Philadelphia Phillies? It's not about March. It's not about April. It's not about May, June, July, August, September. It's about October. Are you going to hit in October? And if you come out swinging like it did last October, is that going to go by the wayside? Similar to the way it did. It crashed and burned in your final two games in the World Series against the Astros, including a no-hit bid. Ugh. And then crashing and burning when you went to Arizona to take on the Diamondbacks. Ugh. That ain't good either. So when it comes to what is the biggest concern for me surrounding this Phillies team, I look down the line, I look into the playoffs. And that's a great thing, at least, to go into a season and think that, this team's going to make the playoffs. I also think Zach Wheeler gets a deal done before the season starts. Both parties are in love with one another, so I don't see how this doesn't get done. Zach Wheeler's happy here. Family seems happy here. Phillies are very happy to have him. Rob Thompson literally said yesterday that they love the man. So that'll be a good vibe to at least get that off the plate, and you hopefully won't have that distraction that you had last year with Aaron Nola, but I absolutely think affected how he performed. I do think they get a deal done. I think it's going to the conversation about the Phillies maybe adding a splash piece, and we'll get into that with Jeff Kerr, is Jordan Montgomery has kind of emerged as a leader in terms of the Bellinger-Montgomery sweepstakes about who the Phillies might be more likely to sign. The Phillies are interested in a shorter-term deal for Jordan Montgomery. So we'll see if that actually plays out. If you're adding both those names and David Montgomery and the ownership group seem like they have no problem spending money, well, then they're going to spend money to bring in the best talent. And those are two guys that I would love to see the Phillies bring in here. I still want Bellinger. I still want to get that bat in the lineup. I still want to secure the idea of having three solid outfielders that could certainly, Yohan Rojas can play the center field, pretty damn well. But then have two corner guys that can hit. Just whether or not Nick Castellanos is going to hit in the postseason is the biggest question, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm very curious to see how all that plays out. But I'm rooting for it. And I think they get one of those two guys. I don't think the Phillies are done. So I'm looking forward to all that. All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me get to our good friends at the Game Time app before we get to our good friend Jeff Kerr. Let me tell you about the Game Time app and all they have to offer. You want to go to the game? Want to go to the concert? Want to go to the big event? Check out the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app to your phone. Use promo code Farzy and get $20 off your first purchase when you use promo code Farzy. That's $20 off your first purchase. And they also have the flash ticket deals for big savings. They have the ticket deals as well an hour after the event begins. So you're going to get the absolute best savings. So you might miss the opening act. You might miss the mid, but you'll see the headliner. And you'll get it at great discount prices. And how about the Game Time Guarantee? You know what the Game Time Guarantee is? That's when you find tickets in the same section and row for less money on another app. Well, guess what? Game Time will get you back 110% of the difference at the Game Time app. So take advantage of the Game Time app. Use promo code Farzy and get $20 off your first purchase with the Game Time app. Don't forget, all-in pricing, so no surprises at the end at checkout. Game Time app, promo code Farzy. When you create an account, get $20 off your first purchase. How about MyBookie? MyBookie.ag. It's a phenomenal site, ladies and gentlemen. MyBookie.ag. Want to get in on all the action at MyBookie. And when you use promo code Farzy, you can get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus at MyBookie.ag. You want to bet on the world of sports? You can bet on the world of sports. You want to bet on the world of basketball? You could do so. All at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Use promo code Farzy when you create an account and let the winning begin. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, joining us on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line from CBS Sports, our friend Jeff Kerr stops by the program. My favorite writers from CBS Sports and one of my favorite guests of the show. He's been on a number of times. Say hello to Jeff Kerr, everybody. From CBS Sports, CBSSports.com, CBSPhilly.com as well now. He's going to be covering not just the Eagles, ladies and gentlemen, but also your Philadelphia Phillies as well. What's up, Jeff Kerr?
Hey, I appreciate the opening there, Mark. You know what? I got to give you some TGIF trivia, but I got to be honest with you. I don't have anything. I watched some Boy Meets World this morning. That's about it.
That's how you start a day. Now, what's your drink of choice in the morning? Are you a coffee guy, or are you? I just got to hydrate and drink water. What's the deal? What are you drinking?
So the only thing I drink is like coffee, water, and sparkling water. So I definitely start with coffee. It's it's like that. It doesn't get me up, but it's just like something I like to have. I just like to have a cup of coffee in the morning with like some cinnamon. What do they call that? They're like cinnamon oat Cheerios or something like that. It's really good. Or I'll eat the Special K fruit and yogurt. That's
sure.
my go-to.
Yeah, that's when we embrace the fact that we're old now and we actually might eat Special K. So there you go. There you go. A bowl of Special K, a cup of Java and Topanga on the old TV. You can't get better than that.
Yeah, you got to watch season 1 of Boy Meets World again. I feel like it's been, 20 years since I probably watched season 1 of Boy Meets World, but still enjoyable, still funny.
I was watching Andy Reid, old Andy Reid. I think it was, I forget who, I don't remember who it was, what handle put it out there, but it was like his introductory press conference with the Eagles. And I'm like, I am old as hell now because he looks like a spring chicken. And I remember this. And now here he is with the Kansas City Chiefs. Good Lord.
I got a story for you. Again, I'm in my 30s, and this is where I felt old. So I finally I talked to Steve Spagnuolo before, but this was after the AFC Championship game. I covered the game in Baltimore.
Okay.
And I got a chance to talk to him for a little bit. And when we were done, we were kind of talking about our days for the Eagles. And I said to him, I don't know if you remember this or not. I said, this was Lehigh, 1999. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. The Eagles linebacker coach gave me his autograph. Little did I know it was you.
Oh my God!
At the time, right? And because he's a first-year NFL coach, and I'm 11 years old. I'm just talking ball with the guy, I don't even know what we were talking about at the time. But I thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. I got autographs from him, Jim Johnson, Leslie Frazier, all those guys, and. You look at that 99 yearbook. I'm like, oh my God, I got the whole coaching staff on here, and now I'm covering these guys. It's kind of crazy how everything comes full circle.
Oh my God, that is amazing! I didn't know that, Jeff. That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's absolutely incredible.
You know, he said to me, "How old were you when I did that?" I said, "11." He goes, "I'm 62 now." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, you were in your 40s. I still haven't caught up to you yet." And then he just turned around and shook his head. He's a cool guy, though. I really do like Spags.
How could you know? I met him one time briefly in a lobby up in where the hell was I? New England. We were covering a New England game. It was a Chiefs Patriots game, I believe it was. Yeah, it was pretty bonkers, man. But yeah, awesome guy, and that's an incredible story. Do you still have the autograph?
Oh yeah, I still have the yearbook. I used to collect all those yearbooks, and like, you know, everybody goes, "Oh." I always hated, by the way, when people say, "Oh, you know, I wasn't a fan of this team growing up." Or fan. Yes, you were. Yes, you were, or else you wouldn't be doing this. Like, you know, when you're 11 years old, you have no idea you're going to be doing this for a living. Like, I could have been an architect. I could have been an architect. But no,
I thought you always journalist. I thought you always wanted to be a marine biologist. I thought that was the deal.
Well, you know what? He actually pulled that one off.
He did. He pulled it off pretty damn well. Jeff, well, first off, if you don't have any more TGIF trivia for me, it's because, you're not just like kicking your feet up on vacation here covering the Eagles with the season being over. You got Phillies coverage now. And if you guys aren't following Jeff already on social media, there's his Twitter. So make sure you guys are following right there at Jeff Kerr, Kerr, like Steve Kerr, CBS, and reading his latest story on CBSSports.com, CBSPhilly.com as well. 5 questions for the Philadelphia Phillies as spring training gets underway. I do want to ask you at least 2 of these questions here. Zach Wheeler, they getting the deal done before the season starts?
I would say yes. So I think this is a little different than Aaron Nola, personally, because the Nola thing, and again, I wasn't plugged in last year, but it just felt like he was going to test free agency because he was never a free agent. It was a homegrown guy. Like, they wanted to get a deal done, but can you really blame Aaron Nola to see if he could get 250 million on the market?
No.
And I'm one of those guys like, Middleton runs everything. I mean, the guy bizarre Christmas thing. So, you know, he's in the store just all over the place, right? You know, he's very approachable, and I have a feeling the way he treats his fans, he treats his employees 10 times better, which is a good thing because he treats the fans really well. So, I mean, when Zach Wheeler says pretty much whatever we want, we get as players, I think that speaks a lot of volumes about that organization. I don't think Zach Wheeler wants to go anywhere else. It just depends now on how much does Zach Wheeler want to get paid and how much are the Phillies willing to pay him. Are they going to go years, or are they going to do a shorter term deal and do a higher average annual value? I kind of think it's going to be the latter.
Yeah. I'm rooting for the shorter amount of years, more money tacked on, because you're talking about a guy 33 years old. You're talking about a guy in Aaron Nola who's only 30. He can sign that long-term deal, that 7-year deal. I would hope around the Zach Wheeler range, they go, closer to 30 million. I think that would get it done. Maybe 25, 30 million. That would get it done over a 3 or 4 year span at the most. Maybe a club option for a 4th. We'll see. But that's what I'm rooting for.
Would you be okay? This is hypothetical here. Would you be okay if they paid Zach Wheeler 3 years, $120 million to be a pitcher?
I'd be okay with it because I know they need it and they're all in right now. And it's baseball money, so it's not real money anyway. It's real money, it's guaranteed, don't get me wrong. But with no salary cap, whatever number you put next to it, it ain't my money. And I don't think this club's going to stop at anything, as far as I'm concerned, to try to win try to win a championship. 2
of the craziest, most basic stats I found out about this team since I started covering them. 1, they've spent the second most money in all baseball this offseason, but which goes unnoticed because of what the Dodgers are doing.
Sure.
And 2, they don't have a single player who makes an average annual value over $30 million a year.
Holy Stromboli.
Yeah, keep in mind who's on this team.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Bryce Harper signed before the huge bump, but still nice chunk. It doesn't get talked about enough how contract friendly, or excuse me, how team friendly his contract is. Especially when you're talking about the last couple of years of the deal, he's only making about $22 million.
He's not even the highest paid player on his own team.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It's Trey Turner, and
it's Trey Turner, right?
$30 million a year. By the way, I gotta get this off my chest here. Why people think this team is like not going to be good this year? It just seems like that over the airways. It just seems like that amongst a lot of the fans because they ain't doing anything. I'm like, you guys do know Trey Turner is going to be better. Yohan Rojas is going to be better. Brandon Marsh is going to be better. Bryce Harper's going to be better. Now he's playing first base. Bryson Stott's only going to get better. Alec Poe might be the only one who remains the same,
which I'd be fine with.
And you know what? You just deal with Nick Castellanos. I mean, you get what you get out of him. You just gotta hope he's hot in October instead of the hot and cold plateau they had.
Absolutely. So you say Wheeler, they get a deal done before the season starts. Next question for you here: do they make a splash before the regular season opener? Cody Bellinger coming here. The Jordan Montgomery fella. Anybody? Blake Snell. Are they making a splash before the season starts?
Their advantages are all Scott Boras' clients. I will say that. And Boras has good history right now with the Phillies. See Bryce Harper, see Nick Castellanos. I think they're interested in Montgomery of the three. I don't know about Bellinger. Do they really need another left-handed bat? Like, it's got to be a fit. If Cody Bellinger was right-handed bat, I think they'd be in on it, but he's not. But again, the longer this thing goes, we'll see. And, Bryce Harper's plays with Blake Snell, and it seems to be whoever plays with Bryce Harper gets to be on this baseball team. But it seems like Montgomery, they'd be interested if it's like, say, maybe a year or two. He signs, again, higher average annual salary, but shorter term contract. If they would get him, he's easily number 3 starter in this rotation. And they need depth in this rotation, by the way. Their top 5 are set. But what happens if Christopher Sanchez gets hurt? Or Suarez gets hurt? Alan Walker gets hurt? Who are you going to? Barzy, who are you going to?
Yeah.
Who's your guy?
No, it's a huge drop-off. It's a little bit of a drop-off to say the
Is it really going to be Kobe Allard? Or we got to go through that? Like, is Nick Nelson going to give you 5 innings in game 162 again? Which, by the way, do you know that kind of played a huge role in how the postseason would have played out if they would have made the World Series?
What, in terms of what, the rotation?
Yeah. So Nick Nelson pitching those 5 innings in game 162 and then winning. If them and the Astros would have played in the World Series, the Phillies would have had home field advantage for the World Series because of Nick Nelson.
Oof.
Think about that.
Good Lord.
A meaningless game against the Mets in September. Usually meaningless for the other team, but it was meaningless for both teams.
Go figure. One thing, really. Hey, I set the number. I want to get your number on this. I set the number at Yohan Rojas, over-under on home runs, 7.5. You mentioned his name earlier, Yohan Rojas. Apparently all yoked up, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, he's yoked.
He's yoked. All right. What are we looking at? Do you go over or under 7.5 home runs, Yohan Rojas?
Oh, man, you're really putting me on the spot. Look, he is jacked up. I'll say that. I'll still go under. I don't think that's his game. Okay. I don't think he's going to be like a 10 to 15 home run. I could be dead wrong on this, but I think he's improved his body type to get ready for the 162-game season of Major League Baseball. Now, I got to see a lot of Yohan Rojas last year in Reading. Remember, he didn't go to Lehigh, but I saw a ton of him in Reading. I live right by Reading, and I got a couple people in that organization I know really well. And so Rojas, when he came up, I'm like, I don't think they're going to regret that move. I didn't think it was a risk because he was an amazing defensive player. He still is Mark, he had 2.5 WAR last year. He played 59 games. No Phillies outfielder. Now, I hope it doesn't go on the same track here, but no Phillies outfielder has had a WAR that high their rookie year since Odubel Herrera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I hope it don't go that track. But
yeah,
remember, Rojas was a much better defensive player than Herrera. Now, I think the 300 number in the regular season was kind of a farce. I don't think he's a 300 hitter. But if you can get 250, 260 out of him, and I'm being optimistic here, I think that's really good for this team.
Whatever gets him on base and whatever gets him stealing bases, offensively speaking. But yeah, you're right. Everything you're getting from him in the outfield is well worth it, as far as I'm concerned. And if the guy is, even if he's able to take some of that power and just hit some gaps, you know what I'm saying, and you get some doubles, stretch them into triples and all that, I'm a happy camper with all that. So congratulations on getting some Phillies coverage here, man. I look forward to reading more of your stuff. Once again, people, right up there on CBS Philly. Also, you can check it out on Jeff Kerr's Twitter as well. 5 questions for the Philadelphia Phillies as spring training gets underway. I want to shift
You're
gears.
already saying training camp.
I know. I see the it's spring training, and I'm already at training camp in my mind.
Yeah, you know what? I am too.
Because the season was such a terrible thing. You're just like, all right, turn the page quickly. Like, I'm not even looking forward to the draft. I'm not even looking forward to free agency. I'm looking forward to training camp. Like that, I swear. I hate to hit the fast forward button. You should cherish every moment of life. But oh my goodness gracious, because this season ended so terribly, I can't wait for the page to be turned. But on that note, I've asked everyone I've had on this question. If you have to pick one thing that was the downfall of the Eagles this year, what caused them to go from 10-1 to off the face of the earth?
Defense. That whole defense was atrocious at the end of last year. Their pass rush was not getting to the quarterback. They had no linebackers that could tackle. And the ones that did got hurt, they were old at cornerback. They were old at safety. Kevin Byard did not help them. I like Kevin Byard a lot too, but he wasn't what they paid for to bring in. So, yeah, I mean, everybody wants to blame like Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni, and look, they were part of it, but the offense, they weren't good, but they weren't bad. The defense was bad. They were 30th, 31st, 32nd in pretty much every single major category you could think of. That's not good. They have to revamp that entire personnel. And I just thought it was funny. They were totally willing to move away from a Vic Fangio style, which is getting by the wayside here, until they brought in Vic Fangio, which I guess if you're going to double down on this, you might as well bring in the guy that you wanted to be your defensive coordinator in the first place. I think there's going to be more accountability on that defense. I think you're going to get better linebacker play. I think you're going to get better safety play. I do think this defense is going to be better next year, but you look at the Hassan Reddick stuff, you're like, he don't want to be traded. The Eagles are trying to tell people he's available.
I agree. I just went on a rant with Bill Colarulo. I did a guest hit on his show earlier today. And I just said, this is all the Eagles. This is everything. This is the Eagles. This is the Eagles being pissed off that Hassan Reddick aired his grievances to the media during the season and said the higher-ups made the move to change defensive play callers, and he laughed at the idea of being dropped back in coverage. This is all the Eagles trying to smear that good man's great name.
And you know what? He has been a good soldier through and through. He really has. I always say Philly fans overvalue guys that are from here that play on these teams. I don't think he was overvalued by the fan. I actually think he was a trooper. He wasn't a problem. You could name like problem childs on the Eagles. Hassan Reddick's name did not come up on that list.
I agree. Real quick, just because we've talked about it a lot, but it sounds like your thumbs up for Vic Fangio.
I am meh. How's that?
Oh, what? Really? You're like,
I actually like. So this is how I feel.
Okay.
With it. They were again, I'll repeat this. They were willing to get rid of this entire thing and change the defense until they brought him in. Wow. So I guess I'm like, okay, like they're going to be better. I will say that. If they brought back, say, another Fangio disciple, I wouldn't be happy.
Okay.
But if you're going to bring in the guy, bring in the guy. So credit to Vic Fangio. I mean, look. I think Eagles fans are going to like Vic Fangio a lot. I do because
yeah.
Can I say this on air? He's an old guy who won't take shit.
Yeah, it's the internet. Nobody gives a damn.
All right.
No, but see, here's the thing. Everyone's going to say quarters. Everyone's going to say doesn't blitz. But one thing that I think people are going to love is the discipline. What I remember from Vic Fangio defenses that I saw back with the 49ers, even with the even most recently with the Dolphins, they are a disciplined team. They stay in their lanes. They have gap responsibility. There's not a lot of missed tackle. Like, to me, that is a Vic Fangio defense too. If you're going to talk about all the cliche stuff, I think another cliche that needs to come to the forefront is the discipline. Lane discipline, gap discipline, guys, making sure they understand their responsibilities. That, to me, is also a Vic Fangio defense.
I would agree. And I thought one of the biggest problems with this team was last year, the accountability just wasn't there. Like, there were players, again, not that they hated Sean Desai, but there are communication issues on the back end. I don't know if they were specifically blaming Desai. I don't know if I've heard terms the defense was confusing. So maybe that led to the front office making the Sean Desai move for Matt Patricia. But I don't think really the players want that either.
No, it's the dumbest thing. Oh, man. All right. It's the dumbest thing, because then you have guys like Kevin Byard. You have guys like Shaq Leonard coming in here who are on their third and fourth defensive play caller than in a single year. That's just crazy. All right. Hold on. All right. Kellen Moore, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up. I like the Kellen Moore hire. It's different. By the way, I got some bad news for the run the ball people.
Oh, it's not going to be good. That's not going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, he throws a lot. And look, he did run the ball a lot when he had Zeke and Tony Pollard in 2021, and he did run the ball a lot with Zeke. But did he have to run the ball with Zeke because the Emperor was telling him to run the ball? Because he's paying him a lot of money to run the ball.
Emperor.
Yeah, I'm just calling Jerry Jones that now. I'm like, every time I watch Star Wars, I swear to God, he's the Emperor. He sits in his chair.
Let the hate run through you.
Ooh. That's how I always think of when I think of the Emperor. So.
Absolutely. How could you not? All right. So can I at least get the ball thrown to running backs?
Oh, I think we'll see that.
All right.
That's why I wouldn't be against DeAndre Swift actually coming back here.
I'm not against it either. I just don't think the Eagles are going to spend money.
No, I don't think they are either. They just don't spend money on that position. And it's crazy, right? So I have said this on air, off air. I actually thought the Eagles were a better running team when Miles Sanders was here. And everyone's like, "Whoa, Sanders is terrible in Carolina." I'm like, you're talking about the Carolina Panthers, right? There's a big difference. Like, don't you think this team would have been better if they had, and again, they weren't paying Miles Sanders, by the way. But in theory, if you have Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift, you pay Miles Sanders and you had DeAndre Swift on a year contract. It's something to ponder. I'll just say that. But I just don't think they used Swift right a lot of the season. I'm like, last time I checked, this guy was a good pass catching back. At least he was in Detroit. And then it makes you think, okay, there's a reason the Lions got rid of this guy. I mean, they obviously got better when they moved on from DeAndre Swift. I don't think that's DeAndre Swift's fault. I just think they weren't going to pay him either. So
yeah,
I'm just curious to see where DeAndre Swift ends up, because if he does end up with Philly, I'd be shocked if it was for more than a year.
I'm with you. A couple guys I want to know if they're going to be back or not. Let's start off with Hassan Reddick. We mentioned his name already. Back on a restructured deal. What do you think the future holds there?
Well, they save $11 million cap space. They restructure or extend him. So I think he's back. I think Hassan Reddick does deserve to be paid.
All right. I'll save the best for last. So I'll go right here to Fletcher Cox. Fletcher Cox back?
Say retires. He thought about retirement last year. Now I guess now that it's more out in the open, I can say it. If the Eagles won a Super Bowl, I'm pretty convinced he was going to retire. So maybe he might now.
I know his lady's from here. She's from Philly, so I can't really see him going. Maybe the Jets, maybe the Giants. I know no one wants to admit that. The Command. I could see him being on the East Coast, but I think he's done.
What's crazy is on the record, Jordan Davis made it sound like he wasn't coming back, Fletcher Cox. Because he said, if you read between the lines, well, it's up to me and Jalen now. And I'm like, whoa. Hold on a second there. I can't talk about off-the-record conversations.
Right. Understood.
I didn't want to bring that up either because it's like, hey, can you clarify this? No. You know what? You said what you said.
You said what you said. But that part was on the record with Jordan Davis. It's up to me and Jalen now. Okay. What was that? Was that in Tampa?
No, that was in
locker room cleanup.
Locker room cleanup. Yep.
That's such a sad.
A lot of things are said in locker room cleanup. I got mentioned on the New Heights podcast thanks to locker room cleanup.
Oh, really? What'd you do?
You didn't hear about this?
No, I did not hear about it. How did I miss this?
So I decided to take a genius picture of Jason Kelsey's locker since it was the end of the season. I'm like, I think people need to know what type of word this guy is. And
Hoard was the word hoard.
Yeah, there's stuff all over the place around his locker.
Oh, hoarder.
Yeah,
Scoozy.
hoarder.
Yes, of course.
I don't get my words right. Anyway, yeah, hoarder. So there's Girl Scout cookies all over the place.
Delicious.
And I made it, when I was talking to Jordan Malai, we were making fun of it. And he goes, you know what? He said he needs to clean up his shit. That's pretty much what he said. And so Jason got a hold of it. Travis got a hold of it. They were breaking it down on New News. And Jason's like, those Girl Scout cookies are 2 years old, man. So I'm just like, Travis is calling me Jeffy. Like, Jason, you know how Jason is. He's always funny with everything. Right?
Of course.
And, again, I talked to both of them. And Jason's like, we let these fine media members into this locker room. And this is what they decide to do. I think they'll turn the season.
That's great.
You gotta clean up. You have 5 months. Actually, he's had more than 5 months to clean that up.
If they're 2 years old, oh my God.
Yeah. And so they made a joke like, "Oh, not cool, Jeff. Not cool."
That's great.
I've interviewed them plenty of times over the years. Trust me, if I next time I see Jason or Travis, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, thanks for a shout out."
That's great. Okay, Brandon Graham.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Veteran minimum?
I think he'd take it to come back.
I think he would too, but I don't think they're going to give him veteran minimum. I think they're give him they're going to give him just enough more than the veteran minimum, where they could say they gave him just enough, a little bit more than just enough, more than the veteran. You know what I mean?
I say he plays season 15, calls it a career.
I couldn't have said that in a more convoluted way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally told, your teammates here, Rob Ellis and Derek Gunn, 15 in net. That's it.
There you go.
He wants to be 15 with the Eagles. So there you go.
All right. How about Mr. Girl Scout cookie himself, Jason Kelsey? One more year, running it back?
You would have asked me before the Super Bowl, I would have said 60-40, he's coming back. I would go 50-50.
Ooh. Why the hit? Why the hit?
When you're talking, and I'll say it, he's talking to people at CBS about a TV gig. So it's not just talking to CBS, he's talking to everybody. He's thinking about his next stage of life. And they did draft his replacement, Cam Jordan. So, it may be time. I think he'll make his decision first week of March like he always does, and we'll see. It'll be awesome if he comes back. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Hopefully he's my teammate next year.
There you go.
I'm selfish. Don't you like how selfish I am here?
Extremely. I'm impressed by it. I'm very impressed.
Then I'll really get to get on the hoarder.
That's great, man. What's next for you as far as the Phillies go? So
I'm going to spring training third, fourth week of March. Whenever March 21st to 23rd is, I'm going there for a little bit. Just,
okay.
Couple they have like a home stand, I guess. So I'm going to go there for a couple days, just kind of introduce myself, cover the team a little bit, tell them I'm going to be around most of the year. Trying to
hit up the brown boxer.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that's good.
Yeah.
So,
everybody's
you would know. You got the experience.
Brown box is a good time. I don't like the name of it, but it is a cool cigar bar. Fusion Cigar Bar. You can watch games in there. You can have a cigar if you like cigars. Steer clear if there's a person in a white linen shirt with a ponytail. That guy just don't talk to anybody. Don't talk to that guy. But everybody else is cool.
You know what's crazy? I've been to and again, my family still has season tickets. I technically own them now, but my family has had season tickets to the Phillies I got possession of them in 2007, but 2003. I guess we got them the last year at the vet to see the last year at the vet and the first year at Citizen Bank Park, etc. We just always kept them. But I've been going to about 30 or 40 Phillies games a year. Every year since like 97.
Oh my God.
So I've probably seen at least over 1,000 of them. And now it's going to be weird covering them. It's going to be weird on the other side of it. Not like I was never like a cynical fan or anything like that. I just love baseball.
Right. Yeah.
Like as long as the team's competitive, I don't care.
So the Bobby Abreu, Scott Rowland, Desi Relaford still hanging around?
Alex Arias,
Rico Bronya at first base?
So we had a golden rule when they were bad in the 90s, like in the late 90s. We only went when Kurt Schilling pitched. That was like our rule because we knew they had at least a chance to win. And then Paul Byrd, we would go see because Paul Byrd. By the way, did you know Paul Byrd's teammate in the Myers was Brock Purdy's dad?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Look at you with that knowledge.
Yeah. It was the year before he joined the Phillies.
Oh, my God. I didn't know that. That's amazing.
And became an all-star.
Go figure.
By the way, you know when people say, like, the Phillies have, like, you know all those collapses with Kapler and all that? When you know how everybody is. Oh, that's the worst collapse in Phillies history. I'm like, no. The worst collapse in Phillies history is when they were 11 games over 500 in August of 99 and lost 19 of 20. And they weren't competitive in any of them. I witnessed a lot of it.
What you do? Okay, so hold on. You go more than Chico Ruiz in the 64 collapse?
Well, in my lifetime.
In your lifetime, okay.
In 64, my grandpa lived through that. He said that was horrible. You know, think about this. When we complain about, like, our teams not winning championships or anything, my grandpa, diehard Phillies fan, like them through the 30s and 40s, mind you, was 56 when they finally won a championship.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and he's watching bad baseball.
We've been tortured.
I said to him, how? He said, well, you act like there was a TV back then. That's what you used to say. That's true, though. So,
oh my goodness.
It is going to be cool covering them full circle and probably going in the never-ending debate on where Kyle Schwarber should be a leadoff hitter.
That I'm for Trey Turner leading off. Where are you at?
I am too.
Okay. It's not happening. It's not happening. But
I love Kyle Schwarber. I do. I think he provides value to the team. But if you want to judge as a baseball guy, as a good baseball player, no.
I'm with you.
But the guy can hit. The guy can hit. But man, I always say, man, is it impressive? He can hit 46 home runs and barely get 2 hard to do. That's hard to do. That's really hard to do.
Jeff, I appreciate you taking time to do this interview. I know you got to run. I know you got things to do tonight and all that stuff, but I appreciate you coming on. I want to make sure that I said 15 minutes. We've been on for literally double that, and I appreciate it. Jeff Kerr, at Jeff Kerr, CBS. Make sure you guys check him out there. Check out his latest story and check out all he's going to be doing for CBS Sports, covering your beloved Philadelphia Phillies and I'm sure Eagles offseason. All that stuff will be buzzing around as well.
So I got to write up all the free agents. Every free agent in the league by Monday. That's a fun one. And it's actually, I call it my research document. Because then I know he's a free agent.
Yeah, right. You have your whole work done for the whole offseason.
Yeah, so I'm like third string linebacker on the Cardinals is a free agent. He signs with the Eagles. I know who it is.
Yeah, you just pull up on your Microsoft Excel. There you go. Boom. On your Google Excel sheets, whatever the hell.
I tell you, I actually love free agent season. Hate it. And not stand. I can't stand the draft nerds. I can't stand people. I'm like, you know what? You tell me where that player's going to go, and I'll tell you if he's good or not. like I was so reserved on C.J. Stroud. I loved him in college, right? Tell me where he's going to go. He's going to go to Texas. Okay, yeah, I think he can be good there. Bryce Young thought he was better than C.J. Stroud, right? Went to
most
like ew. Ew. That's pretty much what I said.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to share draft opinions I have, especially ones on the radio. Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Herbert, and Joe Burrow. Who do you think I thought was the best of the three? At the time, in 2020.
Justin Herbert, Tua, and who else?
And Joe Burrow. And I said they all would be stars, by the way.
Did you go Herbert?
I did not.
Tua?
Tua. I went with Tua. And I can back it up because he has led the league in passer rating. He's top 2 in passer rating twice and led the league in passing yards. So it's not like he sucks. No. But I thought they all would be good. I going into the draft, that was my take. If you draft one of those three, you will be fine. And then the fourth was the quarterback of the Eagles. I said, someone should draft him too. Maybe not in the first round, but someone should draft him.
You just need a Mel Kiper wig. That's it.
I'm not a quarterback guru either. Like, I'm an offensive lineman, defensive lineman guy. Abdul Carter's moving the defensive out of Penn State, and I'm loving the move. Everybody's like, why would they do that? I'm like, awesome. You know how big he is? I'm not even a draft nerd. I don't even like the.
You're going to go from covering the Eagles and Phillies to working in the Eagles front office if you're a trenches guy, because they love trenches people.
God, no. I don't think I could work in the Eagles front office. I'd probably get kicked out of that building in 2 minutes.
Fair enough. Jeff Kerr, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Follow Jeff Kerr on all social media platforms. Read everything he does. Everything. Especially when he goes to spring training in a month and makes all his contacts, hits up the Brown Boxer, hits up the Wawa down there, right? Gets a bottle of water and goes to the ballpark. Jeff Kerr, thanks so much, brother. Appreciate you.
By the way, thanks for reminding me to update my Twitter bio to put some Phillies in there.
There you go. I'm here to help. That's Jeff Kerr right there. And I just saw in the Twitter there, or in the comment, Mike Fuji, the Brown Boxers now closed at Clearwater Beach. That is a damn shame. You know, I don't like to brag, folks, but that's where I met J.P. Crawford. Okay, all right, it's out there. Okay, that sucks. That was such a great bar. That was such a great party atmosphere. They had great cover bands and stuff, man. That was a great time. Brown Boxer, rest in peace. Rest in peace. That's a shame. My thanks to Jeff Kerr for joining the program. Always great stuff. It is interesting that even before I asked him, like before I hit record on that, we were just kind of talking about spring training. And he mentioned Johan Rojas, and he was excited about Johan Rojas adding that muscle. And he looked at it more of a perspective of being able to play the 162, as he said in the interview there, as opposed to, trying to add power. But I'm not looking for him to hit home runs. I just threw that out there just to see if people were like, oh, wow, this is going to be a guy that could, maybe get double digits in home runs, get you 2 home runs a month. But more so, just the ability to drive the ball. And yeah, stamina obviously has a big part of that as well. But just the ability to drive the ball in the gaps. Because if he's able to hit some gaps, we're talking about a triples hitter here with that speed. It won't be that difficult for him to stretch doubles into triples, man, and put the outfield on alert. This guy's going to be booking around the base paths for the Phillies. And I am still very much a guy rooting for, would like to see Trey Turner leading off for this team and Kyle Schwarber batting second. They tried it last year. Turner did not work out so well. And then eventually turned his season around, as we all know that story. But, man, I would love to see Kyle Schwarber coming to the plate with Trey Turner already having stole second base and in scoring position. Would love to see, oh, yeah, open up a base. Open up a base for Kyle Schwarber. Yeah, you want to walk him? All right, Bryce Harper's coming up now. Good luck to you, son. Good luck to you. That's what I'd like to see. But doesn't appear that we're going to see that. So thanks again to Jeff Kerr for joining the program. And the idea, when I heard Brandon Graham say that he wanted to do the farewell tour, that's where I immediately thought veteran minimum. And we love BG, but if the goal is to really play your whole career, if the goal is to play one more year, and the goal for 15, and the goal is to stay in Philly, play still a decreased role, you're not going to be making top billing, as we all know. Fletcher Cox would make good money next year, maybe not with the Eagles if he decides to come back and play somewhere on the East Coast, which I think is likely. Or not likely, but possible, certainly possible. If Jason Kelce decides to come back, we all know he's going to be making bank. He's got a couple of weeks to still mull it over. But Brandon Graham is the odd man out, I think, when it comes to making that one big payday again. That last player's check before entering any stratosphere of the media. That's where I think we're at with Brandon Graham. Hey, let me tell you about the great people at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. And how about the great people at Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing. Twiz, how are you? Nice to see you. Jason A., what's popping? M. Reyes, so early. I wasn't early today. I was late. It was like a 15-minute late, which is not a good late. I don't like being late, but it's something that happens every day. I refer to whenever people say they don't like being late, I don't watch Dr. Phil. I've caught Dr. Phil maybe once or twice. My mom was a big Oprah lady. She really liked Oprah. If I got home from school, oftentimes Oprah would be on the old TV, right? And I remember watching, and one time Dr. Phil was on, and he said, people that say they don't like being late, but they're late, often like being late. And the guy's like, no, I don't like being late. He's like, no, you don't like putting your hand in a blender. That's what Dr. Phil said. And that stuck with me. And I go, that's a good point. You definitely don't like putting your hand in a blender, so you don't put your hand in a blender. There's something about the rush of being late that just sticks with people that are always late. In real life, I'm actually quite punctual. Actually quite punctual. Anyway, Fuji, thanks for the knowledge on the brown boxer. That's very disappointing news. April, good morning, April. Nice to see you. Charlie, love that, man. How do you not love Charlie Manuel? Charlie Manuel, here's a little tease for you. Charlie Manuel is good Philadelphia coaching news. I'm about to give you some bad Philadelphia coaching news. Give me that in a second. Oof, can't believe they tweeted this out last night. Morning, all. Charlie is that good a guy. God bless him. Jason A, absolutely. Good morning, Sean Kilrain. Emrayes, Astros demand revenge. Phillies demand revenge on the Astros. Astros demand revenge. I don't know. Morning, people. Good morning. What's up, Mally? Smoke him if you got him. Happy Friday to you. Sean Gillespie, what's going on? Sean Gillespie. Adjustments, the bane of Philly sports. Sean Kilray, this is awesome. Larry Boa spotted a Phillies fan watching spring training today and brought 8-year-old Jace Anderson onto the field to meet his idol, JT Realmuto. The kid said it was the best day of his life. Is that what I saw? I was going through, scrolling, and I saw JT talking to a kid. I guess that's it. Or I guess that was the kid. That's awesome. Hey, look, I think the kid was already a fan for life, Sean, but even more so now. That's a great story. James Alexander III, second half of the season. We have to finish strong. Hells yeah, man. James Alexander, good morning. I like that you comment and then drop the good morning. I like that. April, what's happening? Love hearing all the baseball talk. Means spring is coming back, coming quick. Absolutely. Although I did have to go outside earlier today, and I saw a piece of trash blowing around in the front yard, and you can't have that, So I went out and I grabbed it, and then I went to throw it away, and my trash cans were missing. And I was like, what the hell? How are my trash cans missing? They were in my backyard somehow. The wind. It was so windy. I'm just glad they didn't go to the middle of the because we have the covering over the pool. I don't want to have to walk across that. That's not good for anybody. Where am I at here? The Phillies add Merrifield is like Joe Thomas of the MLB. Every year he's getting traded. Last year he actually did get traded. He went to the Blue Jays, or 2 years ago he got traded. Went to the Blue Jays. He's older, mid-30s, 35 years old. I mean, he's gonna hit 270, 285 for you. I ain't mad if the Phillies get him, but I doubt it. I don't think that's happening. That's a lot of shine coming off them domes right there. Says Mel. Yeah, look, I do a segment on Fox 29 with Eitan called The Balds, It's I didn't know being bald would be so advantageous for me in my career, but it's worked. But Jeff and I, yeah, that's a whole other level of bald between him and I, man. Whole other level of bald. There's not a hair in sight. Eagles in Carolina didn't like Miles Sanders for some stupid reason. Must not shower enough. What the hell? That's great. Kellen will see fast. Kellen will see fast how our fan base is if he don't run the ball. He better have thick skin. Yeah, we're pretty pissed when they don't run the ball. Roster spot will be open for Kelsey if he wants to come back. I concur. Mike Fuji, Brown Boxers closed. That hurts my heart. Bobby Abreu, I'm in great shape. Toy is wonderful. You gave him catching. Oh, that's awesome. I really like JT Realmuto, man. I really like JT. When he first came to the Phillies, I remember asking him, "Hey, man, a lot of people say your name a lot of different ways. How do you say your name?" And he's like, good old Oklahoma boy. And he just goes, "Yeah, a lot of people put too much stank on it. It's just Real Muto, just a good Sicilian name. And I go, oh, you're Sicilian, my man. How about that? Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Flyers after the overtime loss to Austin Matthews hat trick in Toronto last night. They are back on the ice tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen. 8 o'clock. That game will be a nationally televised game. Is that? Yeah, that's the Stadium Series game. So enjoy that. I've worked a number of the outdoor games, and they're awesome to be there. Kind of over it. But anyway, they're playing outside. So there you go. It's part of the Stadium Series. So enjoy that and all that goes into it. Sixers aren't back till after the All-Star game. That's over the weekend. So there you go. And then finally, I told you I'd give you some bad coaching news. What are we doing here? What are we doing? No self-respecting Philadelphian goes there sober, first off, and then before 2 a.m. No self-respecting Philadelphian. All right. There are better places. I looked through the comment, and don't get me wrong, I'll eat a Geno's cheesesteak. If it's Pat's or Geno's, I go Geno's. I like the minute steak. I don't like a diced steak. I prefer it the more of the flank variety, right? And the provolone is fine. I like the provolone. I love sharp provolone. That's why I really like Tony Luke's. Angelo's, I know, was a lot of people talking about Angelo's in the comments here. But Nick Sirianni, and for the people on the podcast, Nick Sirianni took Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, and some other coaches to Geno's for a steak. That's where they went. I'm sure Vic Fangio was like, can I go up the street to Villa de Roma? Can I go up the street to the Italian market, please? I need to go to the Bruno Brothers. I need to get an espresso at Anthony's Coffee. You know what I mean? Coffee and chocolate house, Anthony's. That's what they're doing there. What, Geno's? Really, guys? Really? That's your introduction to Philly? Who was in charge of this? Well, I think it was Nick Sirianni. Not a good cheesesteak picker. Not a play caller. Not a cheesesteak picker. Ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. I will be with you guys on Monday morning, and I look forward to that. Also, this weekend, we start shooting all new episodes of Greatest Sports Legends, Then and Now with Greg Murphy and Wes Hall. So I look forward to being a part of that over the weekend. We start Sunday, as a matter of fact. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys have a wonderful, beautiful weekend. Enjoy it all. I'll see you guys on Monday. Bye.